What does it take to earn respect? Does it take sacrifice? Does it take duty? Does it take selfless service? Does it take integrity? Does it take all of those things combined and more? Who do we give respect to? Some people automatically get respect. People like our medical professionals, those doctors who go out there and they operate on us because they have the education, the skills, the experience based upon their years of sacrifice to their profession to help us live. We give respect to our teachers. Why? Because they are teaching our children how to become contributing members of society. However, in this country with this deep, dark past, respect isn't automatically given. Slavery, segregation, Jim Crow were things that kept African Americans from getting that respect, the respect that they deserve. See, this country is rooted in a deep, dark history that tried to keep African Americans separate in every aspect of life. In the classroom, in the workplace, even on the battlefield. Despite all these factors, there were groups of African Americans that joined their country and wanted to fight for this flag and for these colors, despite the barriers that they faced to equality. These African Americans whose ancestors were brought here in chains and then given their freedom, however, they weren't exactly Africans and the country didn't want them to be considered Americans. So they were called African Americans. And how ironic is that? A group of people taken from Africa who weren't accepted as Americans, even though freedom was over, they still weren't able to be called Americans. They were called African Americans, just not Americans. Despite all these different factors, there's groups of African Americans that joined this country or that served for this country under these colors, the red, white, and blue. People like Dorris Miller, who served in the United States Army, and on December 7th, 1941, during Pearl Harbor, sprung into action despite all the barriers that he faced in a segregated military. He took up arms, got on the 50 cal to shoot down Japanese aircrafts attacking us right here in America. And despite all the hate, all the segregation, all the vitriol, all the racism that he faced because they only allowed him to be a cook, he still took up arms to defend everybody up under these colors. He served. And in this country, we fought battles on two fields. See, veterans, we seem to have this selfless service that's drilled, instilled into our heads that no matter what we face, we defend everybody and everything up under this flag. We take an oath to fight against enemies, both foreign and domestic. Just like Jackie Robinson did. And yes, the Jackie Robinson you know, the famous baseball player, before he was hitting home runs and making black history, first he was a military officer. And 10 years before the story that you know about, he refused to give up his seat on a military bus. Why? Because it was segregated. Even in the military, black soldiers weren't allowed to sit with Caucasian soldiers. And you know what Mr. Jackie Robinson did? He said, no, I'm not going to give up my seat. Because he served in the 761st Tank Battalion, another group of segregated all-black tankers who fought in World War II. And see, the 761st Cavalry Regiment, Tank Battalion, they were known as Black Panthers because their unit patch was a Black Panther, and their motto, I believe, it was "Come Out Fighting." And Jackie Robinson served with these individuals, these great black tankers, and because of this stupid idea in the country that African Americans weren't equal, he was court-martialed. Wasn't even allowed to go fight during World War II. with the members of the 761st Tank Battalion. But let me tell you about the 761st. See, they had famous heroes like Staff Sergeant Reuben Rivers, who served in Iraq, or who served in World War II and fought during famous battles under General Patton, like the Battle of the Bulge. And this hero, despite all the German tanks that he faced, dismounted out of his tank multiple times to move debris out the way and get closer to the enemy and take out those German tanks, and prove that African Americans had the mental capacity to fight on the battlefield with advanced weaponry systems. Because during this entire time in the military, it was believed that African Americans didn't have the mental capacity to serve in advanced roles, or to become officers, or to be leaders of men. However, men like Jackie Robinson, Staff Sergeant Reuben Rivers, and the brave men of the 761st Tank Battalion, they served. And see, they served during a time in America where our communities were being burned down, our churches were being bombed, our children were being kidnapped and killed, our women being raped. Despite all those factors, there were still brave black men and black women that wanted to join and serve everybody under these colors and fight for everybody under these colors, just not black people. They served. Groups like the Tuskegee Airmen, who once again, a group of black men who wanted to serve their country. But the country didn't believe that these black men had the mental capacity to fly planes. So their training in Tuskegee, Alabama was called an experiment. Let's see if these Negroes, like they were called back in the day, have the mental capacity to fly planes. And they did. And not only did they do this, they excelled. Heroes like Charles McGee, he flew those P-51 Mustangs, and he showed not only the Germans, but everybody in America how high black people can fly. While facing segregation, while facing vitriol, hatred, racism, not only on the ground, but in the sky when he fought those Germans. He proved how high African Americans can fly. The Tuskegee Airmen, despite everything in the world that they faced, they served. Despite what everybody thinks about African Americans during this time, what most people didn't understand is it was their country too, just like it's our country today. When America gets attacked, we get attacked also. Those veterans mourn during Pearl Harbor, just like the rest of the country, because it's our country too. Even though we were brought here on ships and forced to slavery for years and years and years and years, this is our country too. And those brave African American veterans, those men and those women, they wanted to serve, and they did serve. And I can't forget our black women, the women of the 6888, the postal director, who made sure that these veterans who were fighting on the front lines received their mail. Because see, they want to go above and beyond and show that women, they can serve as well. So what they did, they went overseas during World War II, and they cleared backlogs of mail. Mail that wasn't getting delivered for months, cleared them in record-setting time. Just to go and show the entire world what black women were capable of. And once again, they did not say, hey, we only want to deliver mail to black soldiers. No. See, they want to deliver mail to everybody under this flag. Every race, every nationality, every creed, every color, they wanted to serve, and they did it well. Now let's talk about where we are today, 2022. Because the 761st Tank Battalion served. Because people like Jackie Robinson served. Staff Sergeant Dorris Miller served. The Tuskegee Airmen and Charles McGee served. African American veterans like myself were able to serve in an army that was not segregated. And just like those Buffalo soldiers before me in the 1800s, I served as a Cav Scout. I was able to serve on the front lines in Iraq with people of all races, all nationalities, all colors, everything under the sun. And the only thing that mattered was defending these colors. Because see, on 9/11, we were attacked. And I was a freshman in high school, but it was my country too. And just like those veterans that served before me, I mourn as the country mourns. And I was able to serve my country as a Cavalry Scout, and I went to Iraq with the 361st Cavalry Regiment out of Fort Carson, Colorado, and we kicked some ass. On June 17, 2007, my life changed forever. I was shot by a sniper. I took 2 shots in my leg. For everybody under this flag, just like those African American veterans that served before me. And because of their sacrifice to the country, because of their dedication to the country, because they showed everybody what people with this skin color can do, I didn't have to wait for my military awards. I didn't have to wait for my declarations. I got my Purple Heart the very next day. For sacrifices to this country, PFC, Rebel Troop, 3rd Squadron, 361st Cavalry Regiment, 2nd Brigade, 2nd Infantry Division, June 17, 2007, for wounds received as a result of hostile enemy action. Purple Heart. And see, because of the sacrifice that those veterans that came before me made, I was able to receive my awards, my declarations, while I could still receive them. Because see, back in the day, those veterans who served the country, they weren't considered heroes after the war was over. They had to wait decades, and their family members, their descendants, had to receive their awards on their behalf. Because nobody wanted to, the concept of a black hero, it was unimaginable in this country. But because of their sacrifice, I get to smell my flowers now. And growing up as a Cavalry Scout, I went to war when I was 19 years old. I was injured when I was 20. There was this little black girl in my house, my little sister, watched me go through all of these things. Watched me come back to our hometown, Rochester, New York. Watched all the respect, all the admiration that I got from people in my community, because in my city, nobody really got that for a young black man. Nobody gave that to young black men. And this little girl sat there and she watched, and she wore my uniform when I came home. And today she has a uniform of her own. See, because those veterans that served before us made it possible for me to serve in an army now that was unsegregated. My little sister watched, and because I served, now she serves. And because the women of the 688 let the military know what black women can do, she, my little sister, now serves in the army as a combat engineer. And it all begins with the women of the 688 who served and let them know what black women can do. And then their roles just advance and advance and advance. And now women can do almost any MOS available in the military. Because of these brave black men and these brave black women who came before me, who wanted nothing other than to defend these colors and everything and everyone who lives up under them. Because they served, I served. Because I served, my sister, she serves. Ladies and gentlemen, my time in the military was the best time of my life. the friends that I made, both black and white, the stories that we shared on the battlefield, things that I wouldn't get, I wouldn't have had unless I decided to serve under these great colors. And if it wasn't for those African Americans that came before me, made it possible for me to serve in an army that is now unsegregated and open to everything, I wouldn't have had this opportunity to serve, and I wouldn't be the man that I am standing here before you today. Happy Black History Month. I hope I taught you something with my little Black History series for African American veterans. Man, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day.